Hello and welcome back to Trashbook Toy Reviews, where once a week we take a look at one of the items in my collection, ranging from the cute and cuddly to the deliciously monstrous. This week we are taking a look at the one and only beast of the Mesozoic, Diabloceratops. So this review is once again coming per request of one of my friends on Instagram, Jirasaurus. Jira, thank you for waiting. I know that you asked about this a long time ago, and I'm sorry that it took so long to get around to it. But with the release of the Diabloceratops nestlings coming up, I figured now was the best time to take a look at this little guy. So let's start with just a little bit of general information about the dino. So Ceratopsian evolution is a really fascinating thing to me because as famous a group of dinosaurs as they are, they actually only existed for the latter portion of the dinosaur's whole existence. Diabloceratops itself comes from around 80 million years ago and is one of the earliest ceratopsians known from the late Cretaceous. It lived in what would be modern-day Utah in the Waweep Formation, I hope I'm getting that right, and it existed alongside dinosaurs like Lithronax the Tyrannosaurid, Ankylosaurs, Hadrosaurs. It shared its environment with plenty of other dinosaur groups. But it was probably the only ceratopsian at the time, at least that we know of right now. This figure measures about 10 inches long, putting it around at the 1/18th scale as advertised. It might be slightly smaller, but Diabloceratops was not a particularly large ceratopsian, so that's pretty accurate. For those coming back to the channel or those new here, I look at figures in 3 core categories. We're going to start here with the sculpt and detail, get right into the color and paint applications, and finally wrap it up with the articulation or posing. And we're going to take a quick look at anything extra that it comes with. These beasts of the Mesozoic ceratopsians of course come with their little art cards, and I'm definitely going to be taking a quick look at that. Anyways, let's get right into the first section here. Probably my favorite thing about these beasts of the Mesozoic figures, it's really awesome that we have these highly articulated dinosaur figures, but if these weren't articulated, I would be just as crazy about them because just look at the detail on these things. So Beast of the Mesozoic is done by David Silva. He is a toy sculptor, used to work for NECA and designed a lot of the Pacific Rim figures, but you can just see the level of detail that he captures with these figures. If you're looking at skeletal models, you can see it's almost a 1-for-1. This is an absolutely beautifully detailed figure. Looking here at the head here, you see his big old nose, which is pretty characteristic of a lot of Centrosaurians. You can see he has his signature really tiny reduced frill up here. I guess I really shouldn't say reduced because this is one of the earliest ceratopsians, so he is actually one of the ones starting the trend with the frills. You can see Diabloceratops has these really signature devil-like horns. It is just an absolutely magnificent look to this figure. David Silva captured every little bit of detail in here. Opening up the mouth, you can see we have his tooth battery in there. And you can see plenty of great old detail. Don't know how well the camera is picking this up, so I hope you can see it in there, but let me just tell you, in person, it is absolutely stunning. Moving down along the body, you can see he has this ridging going on the spinal column. Again, just all these nice little bumps that adds a ton of dimension to the figure and gives it an extremely lifelike appearance without being too over the top. As a big fan of monster design, I love to see monsters with their just exaggerated features, but dinosaurs were not like this, they were just animals. Some of them had pretty exaggerated features like Diabloceratops with its horns, but it's nothing super crazy that you saw come out on the body. And I like when figure designers really emphasize the natural look to these animals. And David Silva did that perfectly. Looking here at the belly, again you can see the different size scales. Everything is so well done. Toes are all nicely sculpted out on the front legs and on the back legs. And you can see ceratopsians have these really interesting feet. One of the things that drives me crazy with franchises like, Jurassic World, is we get these like elephant column legs, and that's just not quite how they looked. They had this really unique design to them. They had these really cute little toesies. I love how accurate it all is. David Silva really went all the way with all of these figures, giving us these beautifully detailed dinosaurs. Going all the way down to the tail, again, you can just see the sculpting is incredible. Giving this thing a rating, there is no way I can give it any less than a 5. This figure is so accurate to the actual Diabloceratops. He takes a couple liberties, but nothing that makes it feel unrealistic. It all feels like a real animal in my hands right here, and I love it. So looking here at the color and paint application of this guy, I mean, what can I say? It is absolutely beautiful. The color choice is based on the Peninsular Rockagama. It is a type of lizard with this beautiful red and black color. David Silva used this as the main inspiration, but of course added a couple liberties here and there, namely the bright blue on the frill. and this light like orangey yellowy color that kind of balances out the pattern a little bit. Based on the pictures that I've seen, the agama here does have some of that, but it's not quite as strict as the red and black. You can see here he's got his dark beak. The horns are also just beautifully done with this little black tip. Again, it just adds that extra level of dimension that I adore David Silva for doing with these guys. You've got this nice yellow little eye in there. It looks gorgeous. Looking inside the mouth, everything is beautifully painted in there as well. He's got this beautiful pinkness to him, and it's done in a slightly glossier paint, so it does add that little wetness. Again, David Silva just pulls out every stop when he's making these figures. Going down the body, you get this beautiful striping effect going on between the, again, orangey color and the red color, all blending in to this beautiful dark base that as you go towards the bottom, you get a little bit of the counter shading with this beigey belly, and again, more of that light blue. This figure is astonishingly well painted. I absolutely love the color choices. When I saw these guys get announced, this was a figure I saw and just knew I had to have it, so I think it's probably pretty obvious, but this guy's getting a 5 in the color department as well. Could not think of a better way to paint a Diabloceratops. Finally going here into the articulation, you can see the jaw is on a hinge joint. It opens up nice, but not super wide. My biggest complaint here is just that you can't really close it without chipping up the paint on the beak. And even at the most extreme, you can't close it all the way. The head and neck here is on a ball joint. And again, you can see you can get a lot of extremes with the posing. The only complaint I have here is that when you pull the neck up, you do get this little bit of gapping. I don't think there's a lot that David Silva could have done to mitigate this, but again, it's just worth noting if you're somebody that likes playing with these guys. The arms here are on a ball joint, or maybe I should say the front legs. Either way, we have a hinge and a swivel here at the elbow. And then down here at the little foot, we have a ball joint on there. You get a ton of range of motion, especially on these front legs. I think that these are the best articulated portion of it other than the neck. You can get a ton of posing, really get his arms out there. It's really well done. Moving down here to the waist, you can get a little bit of crunching. It is definitely on a ball joint here, so you can get a ton of movement. Though again, the design of the body just means you do have to be a little careful, because if you are a little too rough with this guy, you are going to be scraping up paint left and right. You can already see on my figure, we have a couple points, especially around the legs here on the back, where the paint is chipped up. And that is my biggest criticism, is just the way that these back legs are designed. It looks very good, but it is kind of prone to scraping up against each other. You have a ball joint on this back leg, but you would hardly know it just because of the design. Again, makes it very hard to pull it in and out, though you do get a little bit of more swiveling action. You have a hinge and a swivel again at the knee here, hinge and a swivel at the ankle down here, and then the footsie again is on a little ball joint. The back legs are nice, but again, you don't get nearly that level of articulation as you do with the front legs. Not a huge complaint, but again, just worth considering. And then finally, the tail here is on a ball joint. I'm going to give this guy a 4. The articulation is fantastic. It is really just a couple points that I have criticisms on, but as you'll see from the photos and videos attached in the review, you can get a massive range of motion. There is endless poses you can get this guy into. It's really just the scraping on the paint job that I'm concerned with, as somebody who is absolutely in love with the paint. Taking a look here at the art card, you can see on the front you have this beautiful image of the Diabloceratops rearing up a little bit, probably just defending itself against a predator like the Lithranax. Flipping it over to the other side, we have some general stats on the dinosaur, and of course just a little bit of general information about it. I absolutely adore these art cards. They're not going to affect the grading at all, but I really hope that he continues to include these in all dinosaur releases in the future. Getting into some size comparisons, here he is next to the biggest of the beasts of the Mesozoic ceratopsians, the Triceratops. And you can see he's absolutely dwarfed by it, which is very accurate to the real-life Diabloceratops and Triceratops. Here he is next to the Nasutoceratops and Avaceratops, two of his closest relatives. The Xenoceratops, again another Centrosaurine ceratopsian, and another one of his closest relatives. Here he is next to the previously reviewed Utaceratops. Here he is next to Safari Ltd's older Diabloceratops, and you can really see how far we've come as far as figure design and sculpt work. I really like this Safari figure, but it does not compare even close to this Beast of the Mesozoic figure. Here he is next to the Rebor Tusk. And finally, the Winter Wilson, of course from PNSO. And you can see these guys are not even close to in scale, but I just have a feeling that most people probably have this figure. Tallying up this Diabloceratops' score, we're going to leave with a 5, a 5, and a 4, which of course is going to give him a final score of a 5. And I think this is perfect. These Beasts of the Mesozoic figures are absolutely magnificent. I cannot wait to see what David Silva does in the future with more dinosaur groups. Anyways, thank you guys so much again for joining me for this review of the Beasts of the Mesozoic Diabloceratops. Once I get the nestlings in, I'll definitely be doing a follow-up review, so stay tuned for that in the next couple of months probably. Hopefully sooner rather than later. If you like my videos, definitely subscribe. I talk about dinosaur toys, monster toys, Transformers toys. If you like toys, follow me on here. I review them once a week, and if there's something you're particularly interested in, definitely leave a comment down below. I'm always happy to check stuff out. And if it's anything in my collection, of course it will be out a lot sooner rather than later. If you enjoyed this video, definitely leave it a like as well. I really appreciate all the support you guys give me all the time, so if you want to check me out on social media, again, you can always follow me on here, but I'm also active on Instagram at @TrashBugToys, or Twitter if that's your thing at @TrashBug. I'm not really as toy focused on there, but again, if you feel like interacting with me on there, that is fine too. You can check a link in the video description below, or you can check out my account bio, of course. Anyways, next time we're going to be taking a look at the Studio Series Transformers Bone Crusher. This is the Nest version, the Autobot in Disguise version. Anyways, I missed out on the original release, so this is the one I got a hold of, and man am I excited to take a look at it. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.